Georgia mom is in legal trouble after her son walked from the family's home to a store by himself. 6 News anchor Lori Tucker brought in WATE legal analyst Greg Isaacs to explore what is and is not child neglect.
Greg, thank you for being here.
Lori, it's good to be here.
The details of the case we're talking about, depending on how you look at it, could be seen as something out of Mayberry. A mom takes one child to a doctor's appointment. A second child, 10 years old, decides to walk on down to the store. Or it could be a modern tale of a latchkey kid found wandering with a parent nowhere in sight. So our question to you, Greg, what does the law say about children, adults, and supervision?
Lori, it raises the question, how young is too young for a child to be left alone? And, you know, this story has went viral where the mom was arrested as she was taking a child to the doctor because her 10-year-old who was home alone wanted to walk down the street to a convenience store. So looking at Tennessee and the majority of other states, there is no hard and fast age cutoff, typically with few exceptions.
What are those exceptions?
Well, Tennessee has a suggested age, and that's 10 years old. Now,
what about Georgia, where she is?
Georgia, where she was, the suggested age was 9. This child, however, was 10 years old.
But he wasn't at home. How does that change this whole thing?
He wasn't at home, and she's charged with reckless conduct. So I think what the issue is, law enforcement was concerned that this child wasn't being supervised. Being left at home with instructions to call 911, here's your lunch, etc., is one thing, but walking down a busy street, stranger danger, with the general public at large, I think raised some flags. But what was interesting in this case, the mother was offered a very benign alternative. Basically put like a Life 360 app on your 10-year-old's phone, sign a parenting safety plan, and the mother said, heck no, I didn't do anything wrong. You can't prove I did anything wrong, and handed her ground.
We'll talk another time about a 10-year-old having a phone in the first place. That's a whole other story. But she said no. Was that the right thing for her to do from your legal perspective?
Well, you never know. There's unintended consequences anytime you plead guilty to an offense or agree to something. But raises another issue. How old can a child be to be left unattended in a motor vehicle? For example, in the state of Tennessee, Lori, if you are 7 years old, you are permitted to be alone in a vehicle unless the child is in danger or the car is running, something like that. If the child is under 6 and you want another sibling or a friend to be there, they've got to be at least 13 years old. And looking at some of these laws that really, it's amazing how they fail to protect children. The state that's most vigilant is Illinois. Mandatory that a child can't be left alone under the age of 14. Colorado, 12.
We're almost out of time. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but bottom line here, what do you think will happen to this mom? Can she face jail time?
Well, typically what law enforcement and the Department of Children's Services does is look at what is in the best interest of the child. So I think they're going to look at his home environment, whether this has happened before. Was he in danger walking down the road to, let's say, go get a candy bar at his local convenience store? So all that's going to factor in, but I think at the end of the day, cooler heads will prevail, and I don't think this 10-year-old will be walking down the street by himself for a while.
All right, Greg, thank you.
And Lori and Greg, thank you. If you have a legal question, send it to AskIsaacs@WAT.com. And remember, we talk with Greg every Wednesday at 5:30 right here on Channel 6. For a deeper conversation, tune into WAT.com at 2:30.